This is Betstars and Stripes with Dr. Turf, Ed Wyatt and Alice Gander.
It most certainly is. Welcome to Betstars and Stripes for Betstar. I have been handed a note saying there are rumours that Betstar will be bringing back double fixed odds for a race on Boxing Day. Check out the Betstar website on Monday for details, and you can take Betstar on at betstar.com.au. We do have the full panel in this morning. Ed White, Dr. Turf, and from Betstar, Alice Gander. Gentlemen, happy Sunday evening to you all. Looking forward to what is becoming one of our most popular hours on SEN, talking all things US sport.
And lovely to see you too, Tay. And I don't mean to laugh off mic there, but when you mentioned the double fixed odds, Alan Iskander from Alan Iskander's Betstar put his arms out and saying, "Look at me. What a good bloke I am."
It wasn't look at me. It was just like, let's do it all again. It's been a big spring carnival. We actually paid out the guts of $1 million on double fixed odds.
Did you?
Guts of $1 million on just on that promo on the spring carnival, and it's backed by popular demand. It's our Christmas present to our members at Betstar. So if you're not a member, get on board, sign up, because it is the best promo that's ever happened on Australian soil.
I actually got a Christmas hamper from Betstar, Big Ed.
Did you?
Yeah. An esky with a six-pack of Corona in it. Very handy.
All right.
Didn't last till Christmas.
Yeah, that's nice.
It went today.
We picked our market.
9429 1116 if you want to call in, or 0433 98 1116 to send in text messages. I just want to throw one out there before we jump into some NFL just quickly. NHL lockout extended until the middle of January now. We haven't talked any hockey other than lockout. Is there any light we can shed on this, Ed, or are we meandering towards a full season cancellation?
It's not looking good, is it? I mean, I think we are meandering or careening or whatever you want, whatever verb you want to use. It's not looking good, and I must say, I'm not trying to say I'm a prophet or anything, but I did think back in September, October, when this first started raising its ugly head, that the NHL was in it for the long haul, and they were going to want their demands to be met, or they're not going to give in to the players' demands. So it's not looking good at the moment, and I think, I think they're I don't want to say happily, I think they're prepared to miss a season, and they believe, as I said last week, that the fans will come crawling back next year.
Are all the NHL teams privately owned?
They would be, yes.
So does the fact that there is, economic hardship, let's say, and, obviously these people are millionaires, if not billionaires, does that have anything to do with their reluctance to sort of budge the owner's position?
Yeah, absolutely. I think you're right. I mean, I think a lot of these guys are used to negotiating that sort of thing. They're the kind of guys that are used to getting their own way, not giving in to unions or to workers, that sort of thing. Just look around this city or any other city and look at how unions and management often get in these sort of tiffs, and you do forget sometimes. You got to remember that the American and North American unions, player unions, much, much stronger than the ones that we have here. That's changing a little bit. We see with the AFLPA and things like that. But over there, very, very strong unions.
It actually puts a lot of pressure on everyone. I was watching, I think it was yesterday or the day before, I was watching one of those 30 for 30 docos on ESPN. I think it's one of the new ones called Broke.
Yeah.
And they came up with some amazing statistic.
It's brilliant. I have seen it myself.
I think the statistic was something, and don't quote me exactly, but something like 68% of NFL players after leaving the game for 2 years end up broke, and something like 72% of NBA players after leaving the NBA end up broke. So the point, tying it back to NHL, I mean, this is putting pressure on owners who have obviously got they're fixed costs that they're not getting any revenue because there's no people sitting down and no one playing the game. But it's also putting pressure on the players, because if the NHL players are anything like the NBA or NFL, I mean, they're living, which sounds extraordinary because they're making millions of dollars a year, they're living hand to mouth on these paychecks.
Well, the only thing I would say is that the NHL player is a little bit different demographic in terms of not as many guys from, say, a ghetto-type background.
Yep.
But that said, a lot of them are kids that left home early, Canadian kids that left early, like maybe 16 or so, to go play somewhere, and much like they do in European football, it's similar. So, yeah, I mean, I would suggest it wouldn't be as drastic as the NBA and the NFL, but you're right on that. Slightly would be an issue, I think.
Would that be some way of explaining with the last lockout, the NFL lockout? The part of the CBA was, a lot of it was directed toward the pension schemes?
Yes.
And I mean, for all these, I don't know what happens in the NBA, but surely it's incumbent, I suppose, upon the authorities to have a really significant pension scheme in there. I mean, if they can't help themselves,
That's
you know,
really
while
interesting,
they're
Doc.
playing, they've got to be helped
definitely.
post-career.
Correct.
I mean, I'm a believer, so it's sort of using an analogy, I'm a believer in small government. I'm a believer in that I'm responsible for me, and if I want to do things, I should be, whether it's fiscal or whether it's emotional or whether it's in your business life, personal life, whatever it might be. Like, surely it's incumbent on the individual. I'm paying you $20 million a year to play sport. If you can't end up with some money in your bank account at the end of a 10-year career, I mean, I can't help you with that.
It is mind-boggling, I agree.
Well, there was a line in Broke, though, I can't remember, Bernie Kosar saying when he went public with his bankruptcy, at least his phone stopped ringing with people asking him for money.
Yeah.
and that's the thing, that the entourage that some of the athletes were carrying, and Broke displayed it perfectly, was out of this world, especially for some of the NFL and NBA guys.
Yep.
My last question for you, Ed, is that, I mean, like the rest of us, when I'm watching sport or anything, I want to barrack for someone. Okay? So in this dispute in the NHL, who are the good guys, who are the bad guys? Who are we barracking for? Who are we sitting there thinking, nah, you know, the poor players, or are we thinking, no, poor association?
The only thing I will say is after the last lockout, Commissioner Gary Bettman, when they came back together, said, "We got it right." That was his line. We've got it right. And now 5 years later, he and the owners are saying, it needs to be fixed again. And that, I understand that things have changed, but I look at that and I just say, you know, I put a little bit of the onus and the burden on Gary Bettman and the owners, to be honest with you. And in my case, I would say we're barracking for the players. We're taking the player side. But that's my opinion only.
Okay. If anyone out there disagrees, I think they should text us through. We're gonna have some debate about
fight.
this. Yeah.
We'll move on to Monday Night Football. Monday on Saturday in America, on Sunday in
It was still
Australia.
called Monday Night Football.
It was still
on the
called
Fox
Monday
app.
Night Football. It was a game where the elastic stretched, but it didn't break. Falcons 31 beat the Lions 18 and clinch home field advantage throughout the playoffs. It hasn't been a big factor for them in the Matt Ryan era, though, has it, Ed? Because the Georgia Dome, even though he loves playing there, some of his worst memories are there in playoffs.
Well, it's going to be, look, we've spent a lot of time talking about Atlanta. The thing for me, we haven't seen a lot of Atlanta games. There have not been a lot on broadcast. And I know, Doc, you've got the pass, and you've probably seen more.
There's a question
than
mark
I have.
over them, isn't there?
There is.
For some, I mean,
You're right. There is.
they haven't beaten up any big time teams yet, have
People
they?
still don't believe him. I tell you what, that offense is very clever. I didn't realize it was the guy running it. Dirk Cutter is his name, who was at Oregon for a while in Arizona State. He's a real sharp offensive mind. And they ran some really interesting little plays today. I was really focusing on watching what they were running. Some great little misdirection stuff where there was one play in particular down in the end zone. I think it was their third touch. No, maybe their second or third. Anyway, doesn't matter. They snuck the tight end. He was on the right side. Everybody went right, and he kind of sneaked behind the line on the left and was wide open. Great little play.
It was astonishing how wide.
Play.
How does a team like Detroit with Stafford and Kelvin Johnson? I mean, how have they lost 7 in a row, whatever they've lost?
Before you answer that, Ed, another point I want to make. On the broadcast, they said that because Jim Schwartz is contracted through until the end of 2015, he's not within his own institution up for sacking, but they're 4-11. And
they've been as bad as anyone in the league, in my opinion.
And with all the tools that they have on defense and offense, they still haven't found a running back to at least take some of the pressure off their receivers.
They've had some injury issues. I know Javid Best they thought was going to be the answer, but he's a little guy and he's gotten injured a bit. Yeah, I agree with you. And a dynamic combo of Stafford and Johnson, who we should say broke Jerry Rice's all-time receiving record or receiving record.
They actually interviewed Jerry Rice at halftime today.
They had him on the phone, didn't they?
Yeah, they had him on the phone. Yeah, and he was great. He was, obviously loved his record and everything, but it was huge rap for Johnson.
He's an exceptional player, and they target him, and they still can't cover him.
I mean, they have got big
amazing.
receivers. They are big men. Atlanta's receivers.
Well, Atlanta, look, it's funny because I was looking at that game and you got Stafford and Johnson, great dynamic duo. But look on the other side, Roddy White and Julio Jones.
Well,
how about that catch he made where he dragged his 2 feet?
He's had a great season, Julio Jones, and that catch when he dragged his second foot.
Textbook.
Yeah.
That was textbook.
It's actually been on the Fox Sports News rotation
Is that right?
every 10 minutes, so we will get a chance to see it again. It was amazing.
It was, because in the NFL you have to have 2 feet in, and he dragged his 2 feet. You also have to have possession when you have your 2 feet in. He dragged the 2 feet perfectly, then had the possession before he touched the line.
They're the great unknown, Atlanta. I mean,
12-2.
and They got smashed recently.
Home field. They got beat by Carolina, but let
Cam
down
Newton had a big
bit.
one.
Who knows?
But there's a question mark about them. But they were good today. They came at them there for a little while.
Yeah, Detroit made a nice run.
Made a nice run
Yeah,
at them, but
yeah.
no, not for long.
So what about, we've made a lot of the whole Jets. We've been talking about the Jets all season.
Yeah, we have.
Sanchez
But-
throws four
We do a whole
kicks.
hour
No,
on that.
they found a new low. There's no doubt they found a new low when
they've
the
sacked him
Titans.
now, haven't they?
The Titans punter kicked it 19 yards, giving them possession with a minute and a half to go
Yeah.
at the 25. It was a bad snap, and Sanchez fumbled the snap, and then it was kicked out of his hands by one of his teammates. It was just a horror show, Taya. It was just
They literally
a train wreck.
They literally fumbled away their playoff.
And I saw
chance.
Rex Ryan give
amazing.
this interview afterwards. He's put on a lot of weight, Rex
Has he
Ryan,
put
this
more
season.
on? Yeah.
I felt for Sanchez on that, though, because it was a terrible snap. But
he still he had it and he dropped it.
Yeah.
You know, a minute and a half to go at the Titans 25. Every chance of winning that game. And poor Rex Ryan, he couldn't find a hole.
It's a mess.
Deep enough to
So
get
it
in.
is a mess.
They've benched him now,
They
yes?
benched Sanchez. They're not going with Tebow. They're going with Greg McElroy. So Tebow's angry. I saw a story come out, and I didn't read it, I'll be honest with you, that said he looks like he's going to go to Jacksonville
Yeah,
next
that's
year.
what they said today.
Which is his hometown, which is where he should have been in the first place rather than come to New York. But
No one knew why
anyway.
New York took him
I
in
still
the first place.
don't know why.
They didn't use him.
No, they didn't use him. Look, they're the Jets. I don't know why they need him to sign him for the publicity reasons. The whole thing is just befuddling, and it's cost them a season, really.
They couldn't have had the coach's buy-in, could they? I mean, if in the negotiation the coach wanted Tebow to be playing there, you'd think he would have played more minutes and would have started as quarterback now, even if you wanted to support Sanchez up until now.
Once the season was over, you're right. I mean, what are they, 4-10?
Jets 6-8.
6-8.
Because remember,
Not
they
that
could
bad,
have. They
sorry.
could have
Oh,
actually.
they could have made it, yeah, if they had beaten the
ironically made
Titans.
playoffs.
We'll get to more of the NFL issues as we go through the games this weekend and the odds on Betstar. But just before our first break, basketball news. The LA Lakers getting over Golden State in overtime earlier today with Metta World Peace huge off the bench. LeBron 30 points for the Heat going under the radar somehow. And the big question, though, LA Clippers, are they now the best team in the NBA?
Finally.
In the run, even if the Heat... the kings of the castle, so to speak.
The Clippers playing really well. Last year was the big debate. You pick the Clippers. Pick a side. Pick the Clippers or the Lakers. Who's going to do better? I was of the ilk that the Lakers eventually would be the better team, which I think they probably proved at the end of the season. This year, again, look, Nash came back. I think there might be some signs there for the Lakers. I still think the Lakers, and Al, you probably agree with me in your heart. I don't know about your head. I think they're going to turn it around, and I think they're going to be okay come February, March. I think it'll be all right. Clippers are an exciting team to watch. Can they get it done in crunch time? Playoff basketball. That's another thing that we have to.
Well, they're 20-6. They're 20-6 now, the Clippers, and 13 and 14. It could be 14 and 14 after that game, because I don't reckon I had the Golden State game in the when I wrote the notes down. But at this moment in time, I mean, the Clippers have got the better record. The market would suggest that the Lakers will finish closer to winning a championship than the Clippers. I mean, you got Miami Heat still favourite at $3.20. You got Oklahoma $4.60. You've got the Lakers at $8.50. San Antonio $11, and then you got the Knicks and the Clippers at $13. So, I mean, the market's probably as good an instrument to tell us who's going to be playing deep in the playoffs as anything else. And the market at this moment suggests the Lakers.
And I think the Clippers also, we talk about Atlanta, we talk about the Houston Texans. The Clippers still have a little bit of that going for them. The people not willing to accept that they're an elite team. I think that's still out there.
I know you want to go to a break, tape. Griffin put down 2. YouTube this. Anyone who's listening, YouTube this. There were 2 alley-oop dunks to Griffin in the last week that were just sensational. If you haven't seen him on ESPN or on SportsCenter, then YouTube the footage now. He is a freak, and I reckon if you can be that strong and jump that high, basketball will be a very easy game.
Keep your SMSs coming in, 0433 98 11 16. Don't forget the best prize on Melbourne Radio coming up later in this hour with our head-to-head quiz. And right now, Betstars and Stripes is the home of US sport in Australia. Betstar celebrating the $2 power lines on all NFL games, open from 4 p.m. every Sunday. Head to betstar.com.au or betstar.mobi to check them out. Back with more Betstars and Stripes right after this short break.
Hungry for